Ladies and gentlemen, survivors, skeptics, exhausted coffee drinkers, alcoholics, addicts, anyone who has ever sat in a folding chair wondering why recovery suddenly turned into a theology seminar. Good evening. Tonight, I want to discuss one of the most impressive magic tricks ever performed in modern culture. Taking basic psychology, community support, accountability, habit restructuring, emotional honesty, and human connection, and convincing millions of people it only works if invisible cosmic management is involved. That is branding on a historic level. Somewhere along the line, addiction recovery, alcoholism recovery became this only place on earth where a person can say, my life is collapsing, my nervous system is dysregulated, my trauma is unresolved, my coping mechanisms are destructive, and my reward circuitry is damaged. And the response within the rooms, excellent. Have you considered turning your will over to a mysterious higher force we refuse to define clearly, but somehow speak about with absolute certainty? Imagine applying that logic anywhere else. You go to a mechanic, my transmission is failing. And the mechanic says, you know what? Have you tried surrendering to the spirit of the automobile? You go to a dentist, says my tooth hurts. And the dentist whispers, the cavity represents separation from the divine alignment. No, you would leave immediately. But in recovery culture, people became and continue to be so conditioned to spiritual abstraction that they stop noticing how bizarre some of it sounds outside the rooms. Now, people, don't panic. This is not an attack on personal spirituality. If faith or delusion helps someone personally, fine. Meditate, pray, talk to the moon, talk to your invisible friend, carry a crystal the size of a microwave. That's your business. But institutions should not quietly package metaphysical ideology as psychological necessity. That is the issue. If I'm going to try to change myself in reality, maybe I should use some thinking based in reality and not in magical land. Because addiction is not evidence that someone has been abandoned by the universe. It usually means you're human. Human beings seek relief. Human beings avoid pain. Human beings repeat behaviors that temporarily regulate suffering or make us comfortable. That is not demonic possession. It is neuroscience. And honestly, the disease identity forever model deserves some scrutiny too. Because apparently, in some circles, recovery means introducing yourself as broken for the rest of your natural life. Hi, I'm Dave, and despite 27 years of growth, accountability, healing, rebuilding my family, improving health, mastering my impulses, and changing my entire behavior pattern, I remain spiritually defective forever. My thinking got me here, and it can get you there, and it can get you there, and it can get you there, right? You're not broken. Don't believe the lies that they inherently filter into you. It's an inspiring sales pitch, though, isn't it? Imagine if gyms worked this way. Congratulations on losing 150 pounds, building discipline, reversing your health markers, and transforming your lifestyle. But remember, once fat, always fat. See you Tuesday. That would sound fucking insane. Yet somehow, permanent identity attachment become normalized in addiction culture. Why? Because systems built around powerlessness tend to survive by convincing people they never fully leave the system. Like the medical industry, if you're healed, guess what? They have nothing to do. The whole system falls down upon itself. Drugs don't heal you. Changing your behavior, building your intellect, your emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual fortitude, that changes you. Let's be honest. Something else. Many recovery institutions froze psychologically somewhere around the time people still smoke cigarettes in hospitals. Meanwhile, neuroscience advanced, trauma research advanced, behavioral psychology advanced, attachment theory advanced, cognitive science advanced. Human understanding of alcoholism and addiction or substance abuse disorder have evolved dramatically, but some programs still operate like the brain is haunted instead of conditioned, the 12-step program at its core. We can map dopamine pathways with imaging technology, study trauma responses in real time, observe neuroplasticity, understand reinforcement mechanisms. But somewhere there's still a guy saying, none of that matters, unless Gary spiritually surrenders to the universe administrator. What are we doing? And this is why the United Anonymous Gnostic Coalition is beginning. Not to destroy recovery, to evolve it, to modernize it, not to attack meaning, to separate meaning from manipulation, not to eliminate community, to remove unnecessary ideology and doctrine based in religion from community. The coalition stands on one radical idea. People in recovery are human beings first, not diseases, not permanent defects, not spiritual failure, not lifelong confession machines. Human beings, complex, adaptive, capable of insight, capable of accountability, and capable of change. The coalition rejects the idea that people must accept metaphysical claims in order to heal psychologically, because recovery is not magic. It is process. It is learning. It is learning how the brain forms habits, how trauma shapes behavior, how emotional avoidance creates dependency. AA 12-step programs are not programs of recovery. They are programs of codependency. How environment reinforces patterns and how disciplined action rewires the mind over time. That is not mystical. That is observable reality. And frankly, reality is already astonishing enough without adding cosmic customer service representatives into every conversation. The coalition also rejects the language of permanent inner corruption. Original sin? Oh my God. We're evolved. People are not born broken. Most addiction begins as adaptation, pain adaptation, isolation adaptation, trauma adaptation, stress adaptation, escape adaptation, an unhealthy adaptation, yes, but adaptation nonetheless. And what can be learned can also be unlearned. That should be the message. Not you are powerless forever, but you are responsible now. That is real empowerment. Because there is a massive difference between humility and psychological surrender. Humility says, I need to learn. Powerlessness says, I cannot trust myself. One builds competence, the other can build dependency. The future of recovery cannot be built on fear of independent thought. It must be built on evidence, clarity, psychological literacy, human dignity, and reality-based transformation. No mystical loopholes required. No confession. The United Anonymous Gnostic Coalition exists for people who want recovery without dogma, accountability without spiritual coercion, and growth without being told they're eternally diseased. Because people do not heal by worshiping their brokenness, they heal by understanding it. And maybe the most dangerous idea of all is teaching people they were never hopeless to begin with. I'm Ace. Wake the fuck up.